Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cold Hard Truth podcast. I'm Jack Smith.
I'm Shrikar Rajendran.
And I'm Anish Gupta.
And draft season, it's come to a close. We had the NFL draft this past week, an absolutely amazing experience. We, prepped for that for forever, so it was really nice to see the draft, and it was a really, really fun and interesting 2021 NFL draft, and that's what we're going to be talking about in this episode, talking about some of our favorite teams, our favorite picks, picks we didn't like quite as much, the winners and the losers, and the fallout from the NFL draft. And we're also, speaking of fallout, going to talk about Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers once again. Feels like this is a yearly, monthly occurrence almost, because he's upset again, like Aaron Rodgers normally gets. So at the end of the episode, we'll talk about that. But Anish, do you want to start us off talking about your instant reaction to the 2021 NFL draft?
Yeah, so I definitely, Jack and I made a lot of videos on preparing for the draft. Shrikar also did a lot of his own draft content. I mean, we all contributed to this whole preparation for the NFL draft. We made a lot of videos on it, a lot of scouting reports, a lot of, just overall watching film. So it was really fun to see. And, one thing I want to say is a lot of teams this draft, I thought a lot of teams did really, really well. So that was a really cool thing to see. Like last year, there were definitely a lot of teams that had some questionable picks, but this year I didn't have a problem with most teams. I really didn't have anything where I was like, wow, this team did horrendous, like from start to finish. So that was a really cool thing. And obviously, just the prep for it, I think to see it all go down, I think was really, really worth it.
I think for me, that first round that we live streamed was probably one of the more entertaining first rounds in recent memory, probably the best one since 2018. And one thing that I was picking up on was all the quarterbacks, or at least the top five, ranging from Trevor Lawrence to Mac Jones, they all landed in spots, that are ultimately going to help them. Like I like all the fits. I especially like Mac Jones in New England. I like obviously Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville, Zach Wilson, New York. We got Trey Lance on the Niners. It all works out for each of them. I think they're all in great situations. And, for the future, like this is great. Like I think they're all going to shine in their own ways. But, it's interesting to see how it plays out, because if we look back to 2018, all of them ended up, somewhat good. But, could this class repeat that sort of success that we saw in 2018? That's my big question heading into next year in the future.
Yeah, I think to also develop a little bit of what Anish was talking about, I think the fact that we watched, all that film and learned about so many different prospects just made it so like we realized there are a ton of these teams who had such great drafts, like watching it and realizing how much value teams got. And
Yep.
I think this is a year that the teams drafting smart really stood out. Like you mentioned, not very many teams had bad drafts. I don't think anyone had a terrible draft. I think there are some C's, maybe C pluses, but no team had a bad draft. And a lot of teams had really good drafts, like B plus, A minus drafts.
Yep.
Because there weren't really very many bad trades. A lot of players, there weren't like horrific reaches unless you were the Raiders, but they leveled that out later. And so a lot of teams just had very solid drafts. And like you mentioned, Shrikar, the first round of this draft was so entertaining. I mean, we were kind of on the edge of our seat for all the picks, wondering who's going to go. And then there's so many things that shook it up. It was really awesome. And I do agree with you that that all the quarterbacks kind of ended up in their spots. But I know we're talking about the draft, and a lot of these players who have just been drafted, they've got one big thing to worry about, which is roster cut still. And getting cut, you guys know, is the worst. Whether it's in an NFL training camp or shaving in your bathroom on a Saturday morning, you never want to get cut. And today's sponsor of this episode is here to help. Today's episode is brought to you guys, CHT Nation, by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped just launched their 4th generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. And yeah, you guys heard that right, the 4.0. We were some of the first people to actually get to try out the new 4.0, and we were blown away by the performance. The craftsmanship and the details on the 4.0 are absolutely, next level. We can tell you that from experience, next level. Manscaped engineered the ultimate groin and body trimmer by focusing on intelligent functionality and an incredible, comfortable grooming experience. Their 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. And with this advanced technology and the ceramic blade, you guys can definitely feel safe and confident about shaving your pigskins. And unlike Tom Brady, you don't have to worry about deflations. Did I mention wireless charging, by the way? The new wireless charging system uses electromagnetic induction, which can help battery length last longer. Along with the Lawnmower 4.0, Manscaped has other amazing products like their Weed Whacker nose and ear hair trimmer, the Crop Preserver ball deodorant, and super comfy clothing like this t-shirt we're all wearing right now. Manscaped is already the official below-the-waist grooming partner of the San Francisco 49ers, and we are super excited to partner with them and bring the products to you guys. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code CHT20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code CHT20. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Everything you guys need to know will be down in the description. If you're on YouTube, the description for this video and the pinned comment. And if you're listening on any of our other platforms, it'll be in the episode description. Oh, it's great to have a sponsor for these episodes. It's an interesting.
Hey, clap it
one.
up to
Yeah.
Jack for reading it.
Hey, you guys will get it
Good job, man.
from them if they sponsor a future episode. Don't want to spoil anything, but the Manscaped is we're super happy to partner with them and bring you their products. But back to the draft. Which one of you guys want to talk about some of your favorite picks, favorite teams' drafts? The floor is open. We'll see where this goes. Who wants to start?
Oh, I would love to start. Let's talk about you said favorite teams draft, and Anish thinks I'm very biased. So
Yes.
as in normal fashion, I will talk about the San Francisco 49ers.
No.
Yeah, who would have thought? Who would have thought?
No way.
Look, Kyle Shanahan set up the perfect smokescreen without even setting it up. The media set up a Mac Jones smokescreen, and Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch ran with it, and my God, did it work. Trey Lance is the pick for the 49ers here. Admittedly, I didn't even think it'd be Trey Lance. I thought it'd come down to Mac Jones or Justin Fields. I thought it'd be Justin Fields out of those two. I know Jack thought it'd be Mac Jones. Anish thought it'd be Trey Lance, so kudos to you. But look, I love the pick. I love Trey Lance. I wasn't really, ecstatic about it at first, but as the first round kind of went on, even into days 2 and 3 of the draft, as we started building around the future, building around Trey Lance, with Aaron Banks, with Trey Sermon, it just kind of got to a point where Shanahan is going to do wonders with this kid. He wanted a guy that could throw like Drew Brees and move like Lamar Jackson. And Trey Lance, you could definitely be getting that. And now the lack of experience, it does concern me, but look, Jimmy is still on the team. He's not going anywhere. He's going to be a great mentor. We'll touch on this later, but mentorship towards young QBs, it's always so valuable, especially from a vet. And I think with Jimmy just immediately reaching out, texting Trey Lance, I'm comfortable with the situation that we're in. I'm confident going into the future. Some picks, even later on, Talanoa Hufanga, he's going to be a beast. I love him as a box safety. We're planning to play him strong. He could play that hybrid role. I know Jack is just smiling right there. Shout out to USC.
Next Troy Polamalu. I'm going to hear that for the next few years.
He's working out with Troy. I mean, he's not going to be the next Polamalu, but he'll be a great safety. We have, who else we got? Ambry Thomas, Diamador Lenoir from Oregon. I keep mispronouncing his name. Doubling down on running backs, go to Elijah Mitchell, and we also got Trey Sermon. So we got a speed back and we got an every down back. Kind of interested to see how that plays out because the running back room in San Francisco is, dare I say, it's kind of a revolving door. Mostert's always hurt.
It's also a very large running back room.
Huge. I mean, we're talking 5.
Like Chicago Bears tight end room almost.
Hey, yeah. But I mean, Shanahan's offense, it's predicated on the run game. This is another thing that's going to benefit Trey Lance and his lack of experience. He won't have to throw it a crazy amount of times, but he can make those off-schedule throws. He'll make those off-script plays that we need. He'll keep the play alive. And that's what I really love about Trey Lance. That's what I love about the Niners draft. And really, I don't want to keep ranting here. So if one of y'all want to talk about the Jets or the Browns.
Yeah, I can take it over. I just wanted to say a quick thing. I watched a video on the whole Trey Lance and Mac Jones thing, just those 2 specific picks. And I think for Trey Lance, this is probably the best situation you could go to because I think he is kind of the least accurate of the 5, in terms of, throwing accuracy and placement throws. But Trey Lance is a guy that'll really learn the playbook. And keep in mind, he came into the top FCS school in the country. This was and there was some pressure, right? Kind of filling the void of Carson Wentz in 2019, or at least they had a good quarterback. He goes 16-0, wins the national championship, 42 total touchdowns, 28 passing, and no picks. So, he definitely stepped up to the challenge. And, I think Kyle Shanahan is getting a guy that, can really learn the system. He'll have time to, right? You don't have to throw him in the fire right away. Jimmy G can start. And I'm also really, really ecstatic about that Mac Jones New England pick. I'm a huge believer in Bill Belichick. I think he's the greatest coach ever. And I think, Mac Jones, this is a perfect spot for him. He's literally, he plays so similar to Tom Brady. He's really just in between that tackle box, right? That's where he thrives. And I'm excited to see, and he's a little bit more mobile than Tom Brady, and as you can see by the walk, he's very excited to be a Patriot. But let me transition it over to my team, the Cleveland Browns. I kind of had to wait a little bit longer than these two guys. These guys got 2 of the top 3 picks in the draft. I had to wait all the way to pick 26. I think it was like 3.5 hours in the dang stream.
Yeah,
but long. We selected Greg Newsome, Northwestern corner. And I told these guys right away, my initial reaction was like, wait a minute, what? There was a guy that was available that I wanted. And, this was before I, remembered we had Anthony Walker. So keep in mind, I didn't have that in my mind at the time. So I was like, wait a minute, who's our linebacker? So I went, I was after the stream, I was like, oh my God, Andrew Berry. I was questioning it. I never doubt my boy Andrew Berry. I told actually a couple because
well, you did.
I'm gonna leave.
You just did.
No, I didn't doubt him.
I was the one who said trust in Andrew Berry
because so I watched Newsome after it, and I love. He only allowed 12 catches all year. Yeah, so I was happy. I was happier with the pick. But then, I was like, all right, Barry, why did we choose Newsome? And then I was like, I was a little bit questioned. But then later did we know. I was taking a nap. I wake up. I see the Browns trade up to pick 52. And then they draft Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah out of Notre Dame, the Butkus Award winner, literally the 15th ranked prospect on Daniel Jeremiah's board at pick 52. Now, I'm not going to say anything like Jack and say, oh, this guy's the next, Ray Lewis or anything like that. But
when would I
thought
that?
It was a great pick. Great value pick.
I don't know where this is coming from.
No, this is just Jack comparing USC players to absolute studs. So
J.O.K. didn't go to USC.
Jeremiah
to Notre Dame.
Great guy. I'm very happy about the pick. I mean, at least for a value wise, and I think he's very talented. Obviously, scouting him and all the comments were like after that, I was like, hey, you got your guy a little bit later than you expected. I was like, yep. So shout out whoever is watching this who also commented on that vid. But I think the Browns draft overall. I was looking at grades also from ESPN and NFL.com. They got straight A's. Like it was just. There was some. This dude, Andrew Berry, man, like remember his name. Like I know most fans won't know who he is, but he is the GM of the Cleveland Browns, Ivy League guy, very analytically based. So I'm very happy about him. And already 2 years in, and I think he's one of the best GMs we've ever had. I love the Anthony Schwartz pick. He ran a 4.25 40. Yeah, a 4.25. We got an OT out of Cincinnati, James Hudson. I know Jack wasn't too fond of the pick, but I thought it was great O-line depth. We got a defensive tackle from Ohio State that I forgot about. Like Jack was telling me we drafted. I was like, wait a minute, who? And then I had to look him up and I was like, oh, okay. And we got a safety. So basically we covered all the positions that we needed to. We got a safety, got a linebacker, 2 linebackers, got a defensive tackle and some O-line depth, which I was really happy about. I think the Browns didn't, they just did what they needed to do. Like they addressed the positions of need all while keeping picks for the future. And while not overspending on anything, they didn't trade. They only traded up once, and they actually traded back a couple of times, got some picks for the future. I was ecstatic about this draft. Literally, this couldn't have gone better, in my opinion. Like, this was great. So, yeah, that's what I'll say. Not much to really elaborate on. I think one of the underrated picks that we had was Troy Fields II out of West Virginia. I really like that pick.
Well, his name is Tony, so I guess it is a pretty underrated
Tony
pick.
Fields. I'm getting mixed up with Troy Hill and Tony Fields. My bad. Tony Fields II out of West Virginia. But yeah, that was one of the underrated picks I liked. But yeah, I'll pass it on to Jack for the Jets.
Yeah. I mean, I love the Brown draft too. I have one question for you though. How the hell are you taking a nap during the second round of the NFL draft?
Right?
Yeah, I apologize. I got very sleepy after. I think which pick was it? I think it was after the Pats took Barmore. I just
that was
crashed.
Oh my god!
I was like, hey, the Pats got a steal. Let me just crash for a little bit.
Yeah, you're like, I'm good.
Then I woke up for pick 52, so it was all good.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Browns draft. I like the Trey Lance pick. When my scouting report, I literally said I think I am skeptical about Trey Lance, but if he goes to a team that's going to drop everything to make an offense for him and build things around him, then I think he's going to succeed. And I said, the one place that I think that would work the best is in San Francisco. And when the news came out that the Niners had traded up to pick 3, everyone's like, oh, is this Mac Jones? This is Justin Fields. And I'm like, I mean, please don't rule out Trey Lance. I mean, I think I said from a while the fit would be great. And I know I did in my mock draft say they would take Mac Jones because that's just what I was feeling from coverage of the pick, and it's kind of where I was leaning. But I always thought that Trey Lance was maybe the best fit out of all the quarterbacks. So I really like that pick. And the Browns draft, I think, was great. You forgot to mention Demetric Felton, too, running back from UCLA.
Yeah.
He could play in the slot. He's going to be that perfect third wide receiver, or third running back behind Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. And if Hunt ends up leaving, I feel like he's a good second option because he's a perfect foil for Nick Chubb. But to get to the Jets, I love Sam Darnold, but I've always wanted, since I realized that they were going to move on, I wanted Zach Wilson on the Jets. And so I love the pick at pick 2. And then trading up for one of my favorite players in the draft class, Elijah Vera Tucker at 14. People have been harping on the trade, which I don't understand. I mean, trading up 9 spots in the first round to grab a player that's near the top of your board and giving up 2/3 in a year where, they were still able to land someone great in the second round and some steals in the fourth round, as well as when they have so many picks next year. Like I think if you see a guy that you like, especially at a position like offensive line where you need it to protect Zach Wilson, you do that. And trading up 2/3, I don't care what the trade chart says. That's a good trade. I really think it was a good trade going up, getting Elijah Vera Tucker, easily the best guard in the draft to me. And especially in the LaFleur offense, the Shanahan offense that the Jets are going to be running this year with Mike LaFleur as their offensive coordinator, they need guards that are fast and are able to get to the second level to block for the running backs. And there's no quicker off the ball, fast, get to the second level guard than Elijah Vera Tucker. And the fact that they can either play him at left guard or right tackle, really, if they want to, I think it was a great pick. And then in the second round, being able to land Elijah Moore, who a lot of people have as a first round talent. I hadn't done, a ton of studying on Elijah Moore, but I had seen that, a lot of people were very high on him, and I liked what I had seen. And so the fact they were able to land a rising prospect, especially before the draft, like those are the prospects that you really have to look out for, because in the last couple weeks before the draft, Elijah Moore was just skyrocketing up boards. You see him going higher and higher in mock drafts. And since he was there at 34, I liked the pick. Would have liked maybe some other guys a little bit more. I would have liked JOK. Tevin Jenkins would have been a good pick to me. But Elijah Moore being able to be that slot weapon, I think he's going to be the perfect Ayuk fit, like a mix between Ayuk and Debo in this new Jets offense. And then being able to take over for Crowder in a couple of years, I like that pick too. And then the Jets, like I've always said, I don't like taking running back high in the draft, and neither did the Jets. They waited till the 4th round, and a lot of people's like 4th running back on their boards, Michael Carter from UNC, was there with their first 4th round pick. And so, like, I want to raise this question: like, would you rather have the first running back on the board with the 24th overall pick, or a 4th round, or the 4th best running back in the draft at the 4th round pick? Like, I don't know. I think that
it's very situation based though, because I think like there are some running backs that have really panned out. Like, Christian McCaffrey at pick 8 was a very good pan out. But obviously again, so running backs do tend to get injured a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So I agree. Right. In that situation, fine. But once they're healthy, how much can they really help you? And like we've seen all these late round guys really come out, right? Like, Alvin Kamara has been great. Dalvin Cook kind of slipped because of his off the field issue, but when he got picked, he was great. So, but like you said, like there hasn't really been a running back that's been consistently healthy besides Derrick Henry, and obviously knock on wood for him.
And even him, his first 2 years, he didn't do anything.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and he wasn't even like a
Michael
top of the
Carter
first round guy. Like, I mean, you look at players, there's so many good running backs that have been taken early in the draft. You think about Zeke, you think about Leonard Fournette when he was in his prime, you think about Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley, but Saquon Barkley out with the torn ACL after being injured the year before. Christian McCaffrey out all year this year. Zeke hasn't been the same in a couple of years, and Leonard Fournette fell off. Like, and that's just naming a couple. So the Jets able to land a lot of people's, 4th overall running back on their board in the 4th round. I love it. Michael Carter, he's super shifty, great vision, really great downfield vision too. Like when you talk about ball carrier vision, you always talk about kind of like reading the gaps initially, but he's great down the field too. There's one specific run, I forget who the team it was against, but his vision was just absolutely insane. Great juke moves. I think he's going to be a good fit in this offense. And they had some other great picks. And so like all the way down the board, good trade backs too, getting good value. So I liked what the Jets did this year. I think they were among my top 5 favorite drafts. They're not one, I don't think, I really liked what the Vikings did, what the Lions did, what the Browns did, what the Bears did, and what the Jets did. I think those were my 5 favorite
And the
drafts.
Chargers. I love
Chargers.
the
Chargers
The
draft was
Chargers
great.
were
day 1 and 2.
the Chargers. Yeah, the Chargers after their first couple picks were like at that level, but I think their last kind of couple selections kind of dropped them. Like they're probably like right there at 6.
Yeah.
But we've talked about two of my 5 favorite drafts. If you guys want to move on, talk about maybe the Lions, the Vikings, or specifically the Bears. I feel like the Bears are the most polarizing after what happened in round 1. But I guess Streetcar, the floor is yours if you want to talk about any of those teams.
I'll talk about the Lions. I mean, their draft was pretty underrated. You know, I never really thought about how good of a draft Brad Holmes was having until like I really looked at it in like the 3rd round. Like getting Penei Sewell at 7, first of all, like that's a steal. Like, come on, that's a steal. And we could see how ecstatic Brad Holmes was, you know, how ecstatic Dan Campbell was. They were hugging each other. There's this Ric Flair woos just going around.
That's a culture
like,
change. No,
that's
my
Campbell
point.
Pick too.
That's my point.
I'm really coming around on Dan Campbell. Like,
have we ever
weird, but
have you ever seen Matt Patricia or their previous?
Have we ever seen a Lions front office like have that sort of energy for a draft? No.
Or actually,
and that's what I love. That's what I love so much. Like through that one video, we could see that Detroit was starting to turn around. Yeah. It didn't have to be through a player. It didn't have to be something tangible. We could just see it. Yep. And that's what's so amazing about this. And after Dan Campbell's introductory presser, where he was talking about biting kneecaps, you know, we're all just shying away. We're like, what was this dude talking about? Now I see what he's going for. Yep. Penei Sewell is, you know, he's a kneecap biter. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're getting those type of players. Like, they're getting those type of players. And they also got Levon Wuzurike in the 2nd, I believe. Yep. That's also another great pick. It's just what the Lions were able to do this draft. You know, it signals a turnaround, and that's what's so great about that Lions draft. The Bears, look, you got Justin Fields. I mean, it's a great trade up. You got your franchise quarterback. Hopefully, it's just. Can I guarantee success from Justin Fields in Chicago? He is my 2nd ranked quarterback coming into this draft. You know, who knows? Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace, they just saved their jobs right here. Oh, Ryan Pace did.
No, they might get an extension.
They might get an extension for this.
I mean, I think they were probably a little bit selfish trying to keep their jobs, because getting Justin Fields, you can't fire them both 1 year into Fields' career.
I think Ryan Pace for sure is locked in. Matt Nagy, you know, there's still some job security to his name.
But keep it gone. I mean, for the Bears though, like, you know, I was talking with a couple of Bears fans too. Like this, I mean, look, I've told you, I've been saying this all offseason. I mean, just from a Chicago narrative standpoint, Chicago has been starving for a guy. I mean, and they've always kind of had the same, you know, big, you know, strong 6'3", you know, white quarterback, right? Like, you know, the Rex Grossmans of the world, Jay Cutler, right?
Jay Cutler.
I mean, like they've had the same type of guy for so long, and finally they get someone who's flashy or a game changer. And a lot of people say Justin Fields reminds them of Russell Wilson at times. And, hey, I see it. I see,
you know, pre everything that's going on right now, Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, like
no, he's someone that's going to fill up the seats in Chicago. Like he's a box office guy, you know, and that's what Chicago needed. Like, and also while we're on the topic of the Bears, the other team in this trade up scenario, the New York Giants. Look, I know it wasn't that long ago where I said Dave Gettleman does not know what he's doing in the draft. I'm so sorry. Dave Gettleman, you might be redeemed right here. That trade back. Well, you got an extra first for next year, first of all. Kadarius Toney at 20, that's actually really not that bad now that I think about the Giants offense, who they already have. Kenny Golladay, Darius Slayton, Sterling Shepard. Kadarius Toney should fit in like very nicely into that offense. And then who they get, Azeez Ojulari in the 2nd round. That's really good value.
Great. That was very good.
And it's like you also got Aaron Robinson in the 2nd or the 3rd. I forgot what round it was. But those are 3 great picks right there. Hopefully, I'm hoping they pan out. And if they do pan out, I am taking back what I said. Dave Gettleman is a great general manager, and he is overhated. But for now, I'm still going to stay on that stance of he has one phase, you know, locked down with free agency. Now, can he get the draft down? Because it's still yet to see how these rookies develop. But look, if this draft class pans out, I think there is a big turning point, you know, in this Dave Gettleman arc right here. So we got to give it up to the Giants for what they were able to do.
I mean, to stick on the Giants, a lot of that it actually kind of adds more pressure on Daniel Jones now because even more, because this class will also only go as far as to some extent their offense takes them, and who is their offense led by their quarterback. And
maybe, I mean, if he doesn't do well this year, that offense is still there and he's not, and it's a perfect offense for a rookie quarterback to come into.
And you have an extra first for that.
But that's what I'm saying, right? Like those first round picks will definitely help them. And I think, that trade back, that part at least I was very happy with. The Tony pick, okay, I thought it was a reach, but I actually, out of all three of us, I don't know, I really liked him. I think I said in my mock draft.
I liked him. I just thought it was a reach.
Yeah,
no, I don't mind the pick
too, but I think he's insane after the catch. One of the most shifty receivers I've seen. Like he can get 4 yards plus of separation on you on a route.
Great
that's
short
really
area
cool.
quickness. That's exactly what the Giants need. But I wanted to
stay on the NFC East and talk about the Eagles really quick. Like Philly, like Howie Roseman did tremendous. In my opinion, I thought he did really good because here's the thing: you have 3 potential first round picks next year, barring obviously if Wentz can meet those conditions. But I mean, like, let's just put it into perspective, right? Devontae Smith, they finally get like the, there was always a question with the receiver they picked. Devontae definitely has some questions, but this is a guy that, you can really throw in, and he's been a number 1 before. Like this is probably the best receiver that they have drafted. Like at best value pick, right? I mean, we're not going to talk about Arcega Whiteside and Jalen Reagor. Like this is a dude. This is a dog. Like this is Devontae Smith. Like I think, and also the fact that they got with that 3rd round pick, did they use it on Milton Williams or was that
Milton Williams?
It was Milton Williams. The second round pick was Landon Dickerson.
Yeah. So the Landon Dickerson, I also like. Remember, I told you guys I like that pick. I thought he was a 1st round guy, or at least we all had him to Baltimore.
I did.
Without medical issues, he has an argument for being the best pure offensive lineman in this class.
Yeah, he was, and again, like I said, quarterback of an Alabama offensive line, always going to give you a plus. And I think what Howie Roseman did was, again, he set himself up for another he set the Eagles up to where, okay, if this experiment doesn't work, there's a backup plan next year, right? Because look at what Houston did. They tried an experiment getting rid of Hopkins, seeing what they could do with, maybe the core around them. I still question what they were thinking.
But they didn't have that backup.
Yeah, but exactly. So they gave it all away with Tunsil. So, at least they're putting themselves in a situation where, hey, let's test out the sport. And let's think about it, though, right? Hurts, Sanders, Smith. That's a decent big 3, in my opinion. Like,
and if Reagor can be anything, he's a good number 2.
Exactly.
Here's my concern with the Devontae Smith pick, though, because I'm not going to question Devontae Smith's talent, his heart, none of that. My problem is with how the Eagles have developed receivers in the past. Yeah. That's my one concern. As in terms of like where I wanted him to go, I really didn't know if I wanted Devontae on the Eagles. It's a good pickup for them for sure. But I really hope he pans out in Philly because they need that wide receiver 1.
It's been 7 to 8 years since they've had I mean, Jeremy Maclin is Deshaun Jackson maybe, but Jeremy Maclin is maybe the last true guy. Because I mean, you could argue 2017 Alshon, but I wouldn't say that. Like I think, but actually Smith kind of has a similar build to Jeremy Maclin. But it's a different system. That was Chip Kelly, so that was very, very long ago. And I'm kind of questioning what I think. I don't know if Sirianni's calling plays, but
he never has before.
Yeah,
that's
so
why I hated that. Yeah,
I didn't like the sign. So, but hey, this is a good start though. At least with the draft. I mean, it's a good start. So I don't know how they're gonna do. I also like the USC DT that they took.
Tuipulotu. He was really good to start the season. Kind of fell off a little bit, but I mean, he's just gonna be that defensive tackle that's very solid against the run and has that pass rush upside. And he's
learning
a good flyer
from Fletcher
pick.
Cox. So
he's a really good flyer pick.
Yeah,
I think to move on. I liked what you guys talked about for both those teams. Detroit, I feel like they got a lot of those Dan Campbell guys, a lot of those guys to be excited about. A couple guys we forgot to mention.
St. Brown, we didn't even mention.
St. Brown, Melifonwu, 2 great. I mean, the fact that St. Brown is literally just going to be that Marvin Jones clone. He's going to be there for 8 years. He's never going to be like a top 10, 15 wide receiver, but he's going to be super solid. He's going to get at least like 800 yards and I don't know, 7 touchdowns across his prime when he's doing well. And then also Melifonwu was going to be a good upside corner alongside Jeff Okudah eventually. And Trigger, I know it stung having him go right ahead of the Niners.
Hey, go Orange! I don't know how Fatu Melifonwu I don't know how he slid that far. I thought he'd be a 2nd rounder, but I mean, he'll have a good career in Detroit. I like him across from Okudah.
Yeah, and you'll find Trigar at Syracuse later this year.
Yes, sir.
But
Big congrats.
The Lions were able to, I feel like they were able to help Goff now, but also if Goff isn't their guy, they have a great offensive line, like I think almost a top 10 offensive line now in place for when their rookie quarterback does come in, if they decide to move on from Goff, and they'll only need to add, a receiver or two. And they're still up and coming on defense. I think Dan Campbell could be that Joe Judge, Brian Flores coach where like you weren't expecting it to be great, but then he kind of proved himself. The Giants, I liked what they did. I liked the trade back. I thought Dave Gettleman actually did have a pretty good draft on paper right now. We'll see how it pans out. But the team I want to talk about also, who I believe I might have picked them to have the best draft last year, the Minnesota Vikings, who traded back with the Jets, got 2 extra third-round picks, and got the guy that people thought they would get at 14. Christian Darrisaw slid for medical reasons, but they were able to still pick him up. Then they got Kellen Mont, who I'm not a huge fan of Kellen Mont, but I feel like he's a very, very high upside pick. He's going to be a good backup, even if, he never becomes the franchise guy in Minnesota. They've never really had a good backup quarterback. That's always been a problem. This is a guy that at the very worst is going to push Kirk Cousins to be a better quarterback. That's a good move for them. And then being able to take Wyatt Davis in the third round, who a lot of people had as, possibly even a first rounder, fringe second rounder, and they were able to pick him up in the third round. So they're going to have Christian Darrisaw at left tackle, Wyatt Davis at right tackle, Brian O'Neill,
they'll probably put
Wyatt Davis at right guard, Brian O'Neill at right tackle. That's a great offensive line. And then Bradbury, if he works out, like that's a great offensive line. It's going to be good for Kirk.
Best that Kirk has had in Minnesota.
Yep. And then they took a lot of developmental pass rushers, and I feel like they're the team that if you're a developmental pass rusher, you want to go to them because they always make it work with their guys. I mean, Everson Griffin, Danielle Hunter. I think Patrick Jones was one of my favorite picks of the draft to them because I feel like he's a very raw prospect. But if he can work out, he's got the perfect build. He's got power. He's got strength. He's got speed. If they can make it work, I mean, he's going to be alongside Danielle Hunter for a while. So I think, again, the Vikings, once again, had one of the best drafts. So to me, I'm thinking about doing maybe a film breakdown video on my 5 best drafts. So I guess I'll be spoiling it a little bit, but Lions, Vikings, Browns, Jets, and Bears loved their drafts. And then you can mention the Chargers. Mm-hmm. You can mention the Jaguars. Like they had some good picks. Didn't like the ETN one a whole ton, but overall, I really, really loved what a lot of the teams did this year. Like if we were to do a grades video, I'd say 80% are at least a B minus.
More than that.
And I think at least a B plus.
And a lot of teams would be getting A's, A minuses. So a really great draft and really fun to watch too. That's enough positivity though. Let's get into some of the picks maybe we didn't like, some of the teams' drafts we didn't like. Shrikar, you want to start us off?
So one pick that I didn't really like was one that I actually predicted would happen, and that was Alex Leatherwood to the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, the only reason I really predicted it was because in recent years, we've seen Mike Mayock and John Gruden go for Alabama and Clemson players and Ohio State players. They go for pedigree over value. And, to me, Mike Mayock may not care if it's a reach or not. But man, that was a reach. It's gotten to a point where you do it so much. You go for these Bama players. It happened with Clemson too, with Cleveland Farrell, and you take them at 4. It's just, if you don't have that care for value and you're just too negligent on looking to, a smaller school, or, you don't have to go for the top dog schools every single time. I get that for leadership and stuff, and you have national championship or playoff experience. But to me, it's just, if it hasn't worked in the past, why would you keep repeating the same mistake? It's just, that doesn't make sense to me. I do think the Raiders bounced back though with the pick of Merrick. He was sliding, and I think he'll be a good fit in the Raiders defense. But I mean, the Alex Leatherwood pick is definitely a head scratcher. In terms of a team that I really didn't like in this draft, I guess the New Orleans Saints, because first of all, the pick of Peyton Turner kind of confused me. He was mocked as maybe, a late second, probably maybe to mid-third talent, and you take him at 28, especially when there are other pressing needs on your roster. I would have went with a corner. Asante Samuel would have been a nice fit in New Orleans, in my opinion. But, they had 4 corners on the depth chart heading into the draft. And that immediately signaled to me, and especially if you wanted to trade up, I feel like they were trying to trade up for a corner, maybe Caleb Farley, an edge rusher. That kind of confuses me, especially with the 28th pick. I don't see the value there. Another pick that I really didn't like from the Saints was Ian Book. In my opinion, Ian Book, definitely in the bottom tier of the QBs in this class. They took him pretty early. I forgot what round they took him, but they took him earlier than I anticipated.
I think it was fourth.
That's high for Ian Book. It's not that I don't like Ian Book. It's just, do you really see him being the future New Orleans? I think Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill were good enough. I mean, you can even go for, a franchise QB in next year's draft. Ian Book is just jumping the gun a bit. It might have been a wasted pick to me. So I wasn't a big fan of the Saints draft or, the Alex Leatherwood pick, as I was saying before with the Raiders.
There were a lot of very few things that I really didn't like. I'll kind of throw out the Steelers. I mean, no bias in it, but I mean, with the Najee Harris pick, I can definitely understand it. There's a glaring need at running back. So, I can understand. I did a video on him. He was my number one running back. I thought he was a 3-down back, great pass protector. I thought the tight end that they took, Pat Fairmouth.
Yeah. He's good. He's good, but
he's a good tight end,
but
over a guy. They had Creed Humphrey there. I think Red Uns was still.
Yeah, and Quinn Miners.
I think he was
still on the Steelers.
Vance Mcdonald, I believe, is a Lion.
No, I think he retired, dude.
Did they still have Ebron though, right?
Yeah, I think.
Which makes sense. They still have Ebron. That makes no sense. I didn't get the pick.
I mean, they took obviously the Texas A&M guy. I think it was Dan Moore later.
Yep.
But I think with Pittsburgh, just there were a couple picks that I thought, again, Najee. Maybe I think you could have actually maybe let it fall to the second round and try and trade up. I think that would have been maybe a little bit better. 24, I think there were some decent, maybe Tevin Jenkins, I thought was maybe a guy that you could have gone with. That was one thing. And then maybe, I was going to talk about the Saints with what Shrika was saying, but also the Texans. I mean, just overall, you didn't have any picks to do with. And then obviously your first pick was Davis Mills, which, I mean, I don't know. I feel like weird thing. I mean, yeah, you kind of have to have some type of plan for, obviously, I don't want to talk about it, but, the Deshaun Watson saga, definitely want to have some sort of plan. But again, just a lot of picks that, I thought most teams did really well. Also maybe Tampa Bay, Joe Tryon, I think they reached a little bit, but, they kind of don't need
they could
that
afford
many play. They could afford to reach. But that's probably all I have. I thought, most of the picks were great. I know Jack has one glaring pick that he wants to talk about, so I'll pass it on to him.
Well, yeah. So to mention the Steelers, I didn't like the Najee Harris pick, but it would have been made a lot better if they were able to address that offensive line need in the second round. Taking Quinn Miners or taking Creed Humphrey, even that would make that pick look a little bit better to me.
Yeah.
But taking Najee Harris and then taking a tight end and then not really addressing O-line, that made me upset because who's Najee running behind? I mean, really, who's he running behind?
Not
no Villanueva, no Pouncey.
Yeah, and with Big Ben not being able to throw the ball down the field, teams are already going to stack the box.
Yeah,
and having bringing in Tevin Jenkins to play at left tackle and running with a cut rate running back even Michael Carter or Trey Sermon, I feel like that would be better than running with Najee behind no offensive line. That's just me. I think you could talk about Derrick Henry worked late in the first round as a kind of same style running back out of Alabama, but the Tennessee Titans offensive line was better. It was better.
100%.
Taylor Lewan and Roger Saffold.
Also, Derrick Henry has a stronger build, stronger build.
Yeah, that's true. But then you factor in that Najee Harris can catch the ball a little bit better out of the backfield, so it evens out a little bit. So I was not super happy about the Najee Harris pick, but then the Travis Etienne pick right after, I mentioned it earlier, I didn't like it. I hated it. It made no sense to me. They already have James Robinson. They signed Carlos Hyde. And so you're thinking, oh, wait, so then is James Robinson just going to fall by the wayside? No. Urban Meyer came out, said, I want James Robinson and Carlos Hyde to be the 1-2 punch. And so that means Travis Etienne's a third down running back. And I saw
or
some
a
average
receiver, right?
Or even,
what are you going to,
okay.
Where are you going to put him?
Okay, now that you're telling me that, I originally thought it wasn't a bad pick. Now that you're telling me this, okay.
Oh yeah, no, this was that's.
I mean,
now it doesn't make sense.
I get bringing him in to make Trevor Lawrence comfortable. I get it was probably Trevor Lawrence saying they asked him, "Who do you want at 25?" He's like, "You know what? Travis is a great football player." Yeah. But the fact that an average NFL team, they average 11 third down snaps per game. So not only is Travis Etienne, it's not like he's getting 11 touches per game. if he's just a third down running back, he's getting 11 snaps on the field per game with the 25th overall pick. When you could have taken a franchise tackle, there were a ton of wide receivers on the board. Elijah Moore, those guys. You could have taken.
You could have gotten ETN in the second round too.
Yeah, could have taken any of the safeties. They could have taken Barmore even, and ETN wasn't going to be drafted by any of those teams. No. Maybe the Bills. Bills.
I don't even think the
Bills were set on edge rushers though.
They would have taken Rousseau still.
Yeah, and so. Even if he did go to the Bills, it's like, oh, too bad. We'll shift. But if they could have added Tevin Jenkins or Elijah Moore, or even if they went corner there,
Merrick
would have been nice.
I didn't understand the pick whatsoever, and the fact that if they spent the 25th overall pick on a guy that might see the field between 10 and 15 times per game, like that's it. It makes no sense to me. And it's just, even if he doesn't, then you're stunting the growth of James Robinson, who had top 10 running back production in his rookie year. It just made no sense to me. I didn't like what the Steelers did either. The Saints didn't make a whole ton of sense to me. I get Peyton Turner is a little bit like Cam Jordan, so he's maybe that Cam Jordan replacement. But like Shrikar said, you can go corner there. I feel like they could have benefited from other positions, especially because they were looking to trade up too, and then they just end up reaching like crazy for Peyton Turner. I think the Texans pick shows us a lot about what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson. But also, I mean, they had already added 2 quarterbacks this offseason. They signed a quarterback and they traded for a quarterback, and now they've drafted one all in the same offseason. It's just a little bit overkill. So, like, that draft pick is either like it's a bad draft pick or you made bad moves before the draft pick. And then I think just the fact that they didn't have very many picks and neither did the Seahawks, and the Seahawks reached with their first pick. So it was like, there were some drafts that it's like, sure, with the amount of picks you have, you can't really do much. But the Steelers and the Jaguars, especially at pick 25, could have done better. And I think you can't debate that. Those are personally two of like the only pick/drafts that I was down on, which, that's a good thing. And another pick that like people may question is Patrick Surtain at 9, which is a perfect segue into our next topic, because a lot of people are saying the reason that the Broncos went with Surtain at 9 is because they're trying to get Aaron Rodgers. It's exactly who we're going to talk about. Aaron Rodgers wants out of Green Bay for what seems like the 100th time in the last year or so. He's upset. He wants the general manager gone, or he wants to be traded, or he's going to say, I'm going to retire and be the host of Jeopardy. Me and Shrikar were talking off air. Aaron Rodgers, for, a talented football player, a big personality, just, a huge name, is seeming really selfish. He is seeming just very selfish, entitled, everything like that. So I want to kind of move into our topic. What do you guys think about this whole Aaron Rodgers situation? Does he have a point? Does Green Bay have a point? What do you think is going to happen? Predictions where he lands could be the Broncos, who we just talked about. His wish list, I believe, is also the 49ers and the Raiders. Just what do you think about this whole situation?
Look, if I'm the Packers front office, I'm saying you either play for us or you retire. Because here's the thing, I'm siding with the front office 100% on this. Last year, it made sense to complain because that draft class was abysmal, and you just drafted what could be Rodgers' potential replacement. But in this draft, the Eric Stokes pick, it really wasn't that bad. Like, I feel like, maybe at the time we were overreacting because they didn't get a receiver, but you got Amari Rodgers in the 3rd round. You re-signed Aaron Jones. You have Tunyon. You have, a great O-line. They re-signed Bakhtiari, who is Aaron Rodgers' personal friend. It's like, there's no I in team, Aaron. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
because what Aaron Rodgers wants, his wish list, that's not how you build a team. He's not the GM. He's longing to be the Tom Brady, of this organization. He wants that sort of power, and he's just not going to get it. And this happens year after year. That's why we see this rumor pop up so much. It's because it's a power struggle in Green Bay right now between that front office and its quarterback. And in my opinion here, this isn't a Russell Wilson situation. This is just Aaron Rodgers has, he has Devontae. He has the best receiver in the league. He has, what some say is a top 5 running back in the league. I disagree, but, some people have him there. I mean, a great tight end, a top 10 tight end. You got a great O-line. You know, they've added pieces on defense. They just added a guy out to play opposite of Jair Alexander. You got a great D line with Kenny Clark, Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith. You got Adrian Amos, Darnell. Like, do I need to keep going? Like, what? It's just not clicking for me right now, because this team, I know you've gone to the NFC Championship 2 times in a row and you've lost both times. Last year it was acceptable. This year, you know, I'm leaning towards Gutekunst in this front office, because frankly, Aaron Rodgers is looking really selfish. For as much talent as you have in the world, you got to be able, you know, to stay humble. And Jack was telling me this off air, because, you know, he loves Sam Darnold, and he was saying Sam Darnold as a young quarterback, you know, coming into this Jets offense, you know, into a terrible situation, he didn't really complain. He just, you know, he went with it. And, you know, it didn't pan out, but, you know, he wasn't complaining every single year about his situation, all of that. And look, I know Aaron Rodgers is more desperate for a ring. I know he wants to win right now. But we're also talking about this. He doesn't want a team ring. He wants a ring to just put it on his resume. At least that's what, you know, I'm taking away from this. Like, he wants this for himself. He wants this for his legacy. He wants this for his resume. And in my opinion, he doesn't have much left to prove. We all know he's going down as a Hall of Famer, one of the most talented quarterbacks we're ever going to see. It's like, to be complaining at this stage of your career with having a talented team around you, I feel like we're underestimating this Packers team. Like, it's really good. It doesn't make sense to me. And honestly, I have to side with the front office.
Yeah, so I think this was like one of the first times on the pod that I've really disagreed with like both of these guys. Like, really, like, okay. I heavily disagree with every point. Yeah, so I didn't get this off-air talk. I was busy helping my brother with some stuff, so I didn't really get to discuss this before. So I'll give you my point right now. So there's a lot of context that both of you guys either don't know about or left out. So I watched a video on it before I hopped on for this topic. And first off, this whole Rodgers drama, it didn't start now. It started way before. First off, it started in 2017 when he broke his collarbone. Mm-hmm. That was when he first said, okay, that was when he first ever contemplated retirement. Keep in mind, that is 4 years ago, right? Or sorry, 3.5, right? So that was a very long time ago where he actually finally contemplated it. He discussed it with Jordy Nelson. Jordy Nelson got on, I think, a podcast and discussed it. I don't know which one, but he also talked about that. That was when him and Jordy were both kind of injured and off the roster at the time, or not playing. So that was the very first time. And then kind of transpired after. So that was the first time Rodgers kind of expresses his frustration with, you know, the Packers not giving him any type of guaranteed security that after that collarbone injury. Then fast forward to when they get the new coach. First off, he had no say in it. And they essentially got a kid. Like, Matt LaFleur was very young. So they essentially got a kid who's almost his age. I think he's younger, actually. I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he's younger. So Rodgers had no say. And then the first thing that they tell him, they actually, and this got leaked out, they say, hey, don't be the problem. You don't tell someone to not be the problem if they are, quote unquote, the problem. So you don't tell someone that. And first off, I don't think Aaron Rodgers was ever the problem. Like, he was never openly discussing anything. And keep in mind, he wasn't the one who released this. The front office released that part. So that first caused the destructure. That Aaron Rodgers had no say, first off, in the coach, and second, of the fact that they told him that and they put it out. So they essentially made Aaron Rodgers the bad guy in this situation. So I'm going to side with him on that part. Where is that going to happen? Like, no team has ever done that with any other quarterback, any other star I've ever seen. So that's the first part. Second, you guys mentioned how, you know, this draft class was great. Yeah, I thought or not great, or at least not bad. I don't think that's what he has an issue with. That's not the issue. Like, yes, the Jordan Love pick he had an issue with. He even expressed that, and who wouldn't? I would too, because he wasn't even. You're telling me you couldn't make a quick call to Aaron Rodgers about doing this? This is the same thing that happened with Carson Wentz, and he was angry about it too. Now you're telling me with Aaron Rodgers, you traded up for him. Like, they didn't trade up for Jalen Hurts. They traded up for Jordan Love. They didn't even trade up for Aaron Rodgers.
That's why I'm saying last year was acceptable. I would say.
I've agreed with everything you've said thus far.
He never had a problem with the draft class. That was the only thing he had a problem with. So, you know, the draft was never an issue. And obviously I can give you more perspective. They haven't had an offensive first round pick since 2012. And the only guy that they picked on offense was obviously the Jordan Love. So, you know, obviously there's some frustration there, but that was never like the main thing. Aaron Rodgers has always talked about like frustrations with the Packers front office, which is why he finally put out an ultimatum Like, this is the first time he's ever put on an ultimatum. So this is why I think we should finally be taking it seriously, because remember last year there were always these rumors. I think there were photoshops.
It was all speculation last year.
So this was, but this is the first time where I actually think he could leave. Like, I remember we all said this last, like, oh, he's not gonna go, like, whatever. So that's why, but I think I disagree on where you guys are saying, like, I side with Aaron Rodgers here, because here's the thing. Quarterbacks always have big egos. If you're in the NFL industry, you know this. You know quarterbacks have big egos. Shannon Sharp literally came out and said he was in the NFL for 14 years. Not once did he ever hear a coach bad talk a quarterback publicly, except Bill Belichick. He's the only coach in NFL history that has ever done that. Don Shula, Vince Lombardi, all these legends have never done that. The coach will never bad talk a quarterback in public, because you know what they're going to do. They have such thin lines of temper, very high egos. And, we've seen it even with Carson Wentz just now. Like, the saga is very similar. And Aaron Rodgers, sure, you can argue he has a bigger ego than most. And I mean, that it's kind of explainable considering, at the position he plays. Yes, he's one of those guys that holds grudges. I mean, he had it with his own family. Like, what is there not to say about him having it with Green Bay? So, I think as a front office, if you know this and you still publicly put this stuff out there, he's going to be angry. Like, and I think the front office, if anything, I don't think you should, really pull this out, because again, the trade package you could get for a guy like this, because here's the thing, he's still under contract for, I think, a couple of years. He's rejected all contract extensions because they're not giving him enough guaranteed money, which again is just stupid. I don't know what, the front office is trying to do, because we don't know what Jordan Love is. Like, we haven't seen him in preseason. We literally have zero clue what he is. So if you say he's a good backup option, you go ahead. Aaron Rodgers knows what we know what we're getting with him. And the thing is, Aaron Rodgers is going to win you enough games to where you can't really get anyone good in the 2022 draft class. So, and another thing is, and obviously the front office is not going to, recognize this, because what the Packers front office has always been about is trying to stay relevant. They've never focused on Aaron Rodgers. They've just focused on relevancy, hence the Jordan Love pick, because they know in a couple of years down the line, at least they have some type of intrigue with a Utah State guy who's been, under the fire and under some pressure. Same thing with Brad Favre and Aaron Rodgers. That's what they've done. But, Aaron Rodgers, people don't understand. Like, I said this a few months ago and I kept the video. It was me saying that Aaron Rodgers brings more value to his organization than probably anyone else in the NFL. Like, this dude attracts free agents, attracts people to come over here. Zadarius Smith has said it. Christian Kirksey said it when he joined. Like, so many players have expressed them joining is because of Aaron Rodgers. No matter his personality, they've expressed it. And he's been a great team guy. Last year, he was great. Like, you saw him celebrating with teammates along the sideline. He was very adamant and active in all captain meetings and stuff. He was there. I'm just very disappointed in how the front office kind of made him the bad guy, because there's a lot of the times he wasn't. Like, he was not the problem back then. He was just asking for more guaranteed money after injuring his collarbone a second time. I don't know what other quarterback wouldn't do that. So the fact that they put out that statement, and I know Shrikar didn't mention, I don't know if you guys knew about it, but the fact that they clearly said that he was the problem, don't be that, and they put it out, that's why I'm kind of on Aaron Rodgers' side. And I think if anyone has the right to express frustration with anything, it's one of these guys. And yeah, it's a little bit overkill, fine, but this is fine. Like, I think it's just build up since that collarbone injury. And I told you, this is 3.5 years in the making. This is when he finally expressed it, and I'm totally fine with it. And I think, it's his. And also the thing about the Super Bowl, just the last, I don't think he's never been that like, for example, Tom Brady was asked in the draftathon if he could give up two Super Bowl wins to have a perfect season. He said he would. Like, he genuinely said he would be a 5-time Super Bowl champion if he could have that 19-0 season. Like, Tom Brady cares about that stuff. Aaron Rodgers is not that adamant about it. Like, I've never heard him really say, like, oh, I want to be known as one of the best ever, or like anything like that. He's never been like that. He's contemplated retirement all the time. So, like, he's one of those guys that just, I feel like he focuses on the little things rather than the big. So I don't think he's ever, said to himself like, oh, I need the Super Bowl for my legacy. I don't think he's one of those guys, because again, like you said, it kind of works both ways. We know what his legacy is going to be. So I don't think he cares about that, but to kind of wrap up and let Jack give his opinion, because I think we got two different sides here. I'm with Aaron Rodgers on this one. I think how the front office kind of treated him and made him out to be a bad guy is a little bit, just out of the ordinary with every other front office. And that's why I think the Packers, you can see just their front office just hasn't been good. Coaches haven't really been good. Mike McCarthy is fired for a reason. front office just hasn't made good draft picks, in my opinion, over the last few years. And that's why I think I would say
Jair Alexander was drafted.
No. I think they've made good pick, but like the Jordan Love again, I think that's just such a bad.
That's one pick.
Here's my thing on that.
But for Aaron Rodgers though, I think that one pick definitely deserves some type of like adamant anger. Like you take him to it.
That's not what we're saying.
Yeah.
Look, I want to say one thing. I mean, you said he's turned down every contract extension, and since that 2017, he's just been very almost angry towards them. Contemplated retirement so many times. I think it makes a ton of sense, and there's definitely a reason they took Jordan Love. Sure, it may seem stupid. Oh my God, you have Aaron Rodgers, but you're talking about how Aaron Rodgers won't sign with them, and how he's contemplated retiring since 2017. I mean, taking a quarterback makes sense then. And
no, my thing is not the pick; it's just not telling him or making a quick phone call.
I get
that. That's
my
only thing about it.
I get that, and I agreed with a lot of the points you said. Like up to this year, like in the past, 2017, not giving enough guaranteed money. I totally get that. Them making him the bad guy, I totally get that. But I think this year, Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a point. I think, like, especially when it comes to, you're saying that they're trying to stay relevant. I think they're trying to stay a good football team. I get they've only taken one offensive player in the first round in the last 10 years, and that's Jordan Love. But it's because Aaron Rodgers is so good that they're probably just telling Aaron, we trust you. You're going to put a good offense on the field. Let us just build the team the best way that we can.
Exactly.
And if that means drafting 9 defensive players in the first round, then that means drafting 9 defensive players in the first round. And I disagree with you saying that they haven't had good draft picks. I mean, Kenny Clark, Alexander, Bakhtiari, Elton Jenkins, Corey Linsley, Brian Bulaga, Devontae Adams. Like, I can go on and on. Darnell Savage.
They know what they're doing. They're building.
Yeah, they know what they're doing. I just think
through the draft.
I think Rodgers should have that type of say that, Russell Wilson or Brady. Well, actually, Russell, I mean, he's starting to get some. But like Brady's had, I think, Manning had. Like he is in that echelon. Like I think he is.
But no matter what they've done, like say even if it's only drafting defense, they put a top tier offense out on the field every year because of him. And I think he's got to. I just feel like getting upset and saying that you want the GM fired because of all this stuff. I mean, like if it comes down to me, I'm not saying that the front office is right. I'm not saying that Aaron Rodgers is wrong, but I'm saying if it comes down to it and you're the Packers right now and you're faced with prioritizing your GM or prioritizing Aaron Rodgers, it's an easy choice for me. I think you prioritize it. You're not going to fire your GM. You're going to let Aaron Rodgers walk because Aaron Rodgers also, I mean, you have to point out he hasn't won big games for them in the past.
I was going to throw that out. Yeah.
He's lost multiple NFC championships. He's choked in the playoffs. It hasn't happened.
7-8 since the Super Bowl win.
Exactly.
And
but what has the GM done? Every single year they put a top tier NFL football team out on the field.
You can't put that record on the front office.
All the draft picks. And think about it. They've signed some great free agents. Amos is a good free agent. Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith were great free agents. Yep. Like they always, and they drafted almost an entire offensive line. I mean, Bakhtiari, Elton Jenkins. I know Corey Linsley and Brian Bulaga are gone, but they've developed players.
They developed those guys
every single position. And so
TJ Lang too back in the day.
And they addressed O-line again in this draft.
They addressed O-line and they got him a receiver in the third. And last year, I know AJ Dillon didn't make sense because they had Aaron Jones, but they thought that Aaron Jones might walk in free agency and they wanted to have that running back there for Aaron Rodgers. I just don't think if it's really about personnel and them not helping him. He's a 35-plus-year-old quarterback. Who's won multiple MVPs in the Super Bowl. He shouldn't need to be helped. He's the one that holds down the quarterback position and brings the offense together.
He should get the help. He should get the help he needs.
Want to build around your quarterback.
You do build around your quarterback, but at that point, he's proven that he doesn't need to be built around. No. He's going to put that offense out.
But if you have an opportunity to give him that, you can't ask him to always do more with less. He's had to do that most of his career.
But he already has the help he needs. He's been to 2 straight championships.
He's done it with
I understand that their wide receivers behind Devontae Adams aren't great, but they're good, and he's proven he can throw to them. He's proven it works. And maybe he's just maybe it's kind of one of those things where he's like, oh, I'm just tired of doing all the work here. Maybe it's that. And then, okay, I get it. But then don't say in that scenario, go fire the GM.
No, but see, it's not, I don't think it is a personnel issue. I really don't. I think the only time you like he's been kind of angry was like not drafting a receiver last year, but also like, guys like Will Fuller they didn't pursue. Like, I mean, just certain times where there'd be like top tier free agents. Like obviously they've gotten defensive side, they've gotten some good ones, but never that tier one. And I think the Packers have had that stand. Like they were known as title town. Like they have a weight in the NFL. Like this isn't it's a small market, quote unquote area, but this Packers organization has always had that, big name. And a lot of it is because of him. Yeah, and I think it's not a personnel issue because, again, like you said, like Aaron Rodgers knows the talent he's had around, and he's always thought highly of every teammate he's played. I've never really heard him beef with a teammate. So he's always spoke highly of them. But yeah, he's always been back and forth with the front office, and there is a power struggle. We're seeing it with guys like Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's a tad bit younger, so maybe he goes through a similar phase like this. Who knows? Maybe he gets injured. Maybe there was less guaranteed money on the table. He gets angry too. Like this could be a similar saga. But I do see your point, Jack. Like I made a mistake by saying the Packers don't have a good draft pick. I was trying to mention the Jordan Love thing. I still, I question it, like why they trade up, because that is like, I feel like that move itself was kind of a shot because this was after LaFleur was hired.
It feels like a direct middle finger to Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
But if it's because they know he's not going to re-sign, like I understand the pick.
But the thing is, Rodgers waited a year. His camp waited a year. Like this is pent up stuff. Like this isn't because of last year.
It's pent up aggression. I get that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. You talk about teammates. Like, what is this going to do to the team's chemistry? Because when he gets back to the locker room with all of this boiling up, it's like, because you say Aaron Rodgers, he's never thought highly of a teammate.
So I think he's very strategic with this camp. Like everything that's gotten out to us was run through by him.
Yeah.
He knows what was thrown out there. So I'm sure he's talking to teammates too. Like people like Bakhtiari is also expressed like he recognized Aaron Rodgers. Right? Like he said this a couple of times. Like I said too, Jordy Nelson knew about all this stuff. Like he's very, like, I don't think he ghosts like his team. Like I feel like I remember Le'Veon Bell actually like ghosted some of his teammates. Like he didn't tell them anything. So this isn't like that. So I don't think it's going to be that type of holdout. But if I'm being real, like this is really the first time I've ever thought to myself and said, like, damn, Aaron Rodgers might not be a Packer next year.
No, this seems for real. This seems for real.
No. As soon as Rodgers gave the ultimatum, I think that was when I said, okay, like I know this is real. Like I think the retirement thing might be a little bit of smoke. Like I doubt it. Like he knows he's still got plenty of football left in him, and he's not that egotistical where he would give up his career. I don't think he's lost that passion for football yet. Like he's one of those guys that I feel like will lose it like at around 40, 41. Like he's not going to pursue till 45 like Tom Brady. Tom Brady's just different breed. But like I think, regarding the saga, maybe to transition it, like now that I like, at least for me, I think it's kind of flipping over the fact that like I'm like 60-40 Rodgers is not a Packer next year. Like I
still think he's going to be a Packer.
I think he's going to be a Packer.
This is like this, if the situation gets even worse than it is right now, because think about it, like there was, also there was another team that he included recently, like the Giants. I don't know why, but he did. So he just included the Giants recently.
I guess New York for the market. I don't know.
Yeah, like it's a really, if you think about it though, it's a pretty good fit with the weapons that he would have. But if you guys want to maybe throw out your, potential teams or like what you guys think is a better fit, if you want, I could start. Like, I think Denver, I've always said Denver and Washington were my top two, just coming into it before I even knew his list. I just think Denver would, with the defense that they have, Vic Fangio is always going to put out a top 10 to 12 defense 100% of the time. And now you've got 3 stud corners, Surtain, Kyle Fuller, and Bryce Callahan. You can put Surtain on the outside, Callahan remains in the slot, and then you got obviously Kyle Fuller on the outside. I think that's tremendous. Von Miller, I think they could still try and bring him back. I don't think the thing is,
I think he'd have to be involved in that trade, to be honest.
He's going to be in that trade.
I don't know if the Packers would want him though. Like, I think he's a little bit old. Like, is this production really going to be, that elite? I don't know. And also then you would kind of have to, because I think Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith, that would be interesting.
I think Preston's gone. Preston had a bad year this year.
Yeah. So, I think it would be a little bit of questions, but like maybe I think Chubb would be the guy that they might have to deal
possibly
in a deal like that. So, but also like the thing is, we don't know the trade package that a guy like that an MVP would bring. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, even with Deshaun Watson, we weren't sure what the package would be.
We still don't know.
We still don't know.
Mm-hmm. Like I don't know what the package
even then,
like
you're already thinking like your top 2 draft picks for the next couple of years. You're thinking of, maybe a cornerstone player. Because even though he's like old, like this is the reigning league MVP. Like he's still got.
This is a consensus top 2 to 3 quarterback.
It's like it's gonna be a crazy package.
Yeah, I mean,
I was thinking Miami at first, just because they had the capital for it. But then as his wish list came out, I immediately drew my eyes to Denver, just because their QB situation is still unstable, even after bringing in Teddy Bridgewater. I think with the Dolphins also, I don't think they're going to move off of, I know it's Aaron Rodgers, but I don't think they're going to move off of Tua after this year, especially giving up all that capital. I think they're building their team in a specific way. And I think trading for Aaron Rodgers, kind of derails that a little bit. But with the Broncos, he has the weapons. He has a capable defense. He's got the pieces in place to win. This would be Peyton Manning 2.0, except Aaron Rodgers is more talented at this stage of his career. I think it makes a lot of sense for Denver to do that trade. Jack, I'm sorry, I cut you off. What were you going to say?
No, I mean, I think I was just going to kind of bring it all full circle and wrap it up. We're going to see this. We're going to see it play out. We'll know soon. I mean, I think we're going to know soon. And I want to clarify, we're not trying to hate on Aaron Rodgers. We've grown up watching Aaron Rodgers, the most talented quarterback of our generation. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is going to get there, but we've grown up watching Aaron Rodgers. I think Shrikar and I, at least, are just a little bit confused on what's going on right now. And if it's really a personnel thing, I think we just don't agree with him. And there's a difference between hating on a player.
I would also side with you guys on that too.
There's a difference between hating on a player and not agreeing with him. And I think as of right now, Shrikar and I just don't agree with kind of the way that he's going about things. But we could be wrong. I mean, or Anish could be wrong. I think we're just kind of trying to talk about the situation. The situation we will see play out soon. But anyways, that's going to wrap up our episode talking about the draft, talking about Aaron Rodgers. We hope you guys enjoyed listening to it. If you're on YouTube, please consider hitting the like button, hitting that subscribe button, notification bell, and leave a comment letting us know, what you thought about the draft, your favorite team's draft, favorite picks, or even this Aaron Rodgers situation. Same thing if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else. Please consider subscribing to the podcast and leaving us a 5-star review. Like we mentioned before, our Manscaped sponsorship, you get 20% off with free shipping with the code CHT20. It'll be a description, pinned comment, description for the episode. You guys can find it all there, but we'll be back next week, probably with, another episode revolving on some things around the draft, or maybe there's an update on the Aaron Rodgers news. We're back every single week, but thank you guys so much for listening. We've been the Cold Hard Truth, and we will see you next time.